The Osu Cemetery Passenger. I have been a taxi driver in Accra for over 10 years. I've seen it all: drunk passengers, angry couples, people crying in the back seat. But nothing could have prepared me for that night. It started like any other shift. The city was alive, filled with the sound of honking cars, shouting vendors, and distant music from bars. But by midnight, the roads became quieter. The night stretched on, and my last few passengers had been regular folks heading home after a long day. At around 2 a.m., I decided to take one last trip before heading home. That's when I saw her. She stood alone by the roadside, near the old Osu Cemetery, a place I usually avoided at night. Her figure was hard to miss. She wore a long white dress that fluttered slightly, though there was no wind. Her face was hidden by her long, unkempt hair. I slowed down. I didn't want to stop, but something about her pulled me in. She raised her hand. I hesitated, but then I thought, maybe she's stranded. Maybe she needs help. I unlocked the door. She got in without a word. "Where to?" I asked, trying to sound normal. She spoke in a voice so soft I almost didn't hear her. "Medina." That was a long drive, but I nodded and started the engine. The road that never ends. From the moment she sat down, something felt wrong. The air inside the taxi became cold. I turned off the AC, but the chill remained. I could feel it creeping up my arms, down my back. I checked the rearview mirror. She sat perfectly still, her hands resting on her lap. Her posture was too stiff, like she wasn't even breathing. The roads were empty. Streetlights flickered as we passed, casting strange shadows. After a few minutes, I glanced at the mirror again. She hadn't moved. But something was different. Her face. It was now slightly tilted, just enough that I could see part of her pale cheek. Had she moved? I shook my head, trying to focus on the road. My mind was playing tricks on me. I cleared my throat. "Where in Medina?" No answer. I checked the mirror again. She was still, her head still slightly tilted. But now, her lips were curved into a faint smile. My heart slammed against my chest. I hadn't seen her move. But the smile was there. I gripped the wheel tighter. "Madam, where exactly in Medina?" I repeated, my voice shaking. Still no answer. I looked up at the mirror one more time. My blood turned to ice. She was now facing me. Her head had twisted, unnaturally far, her eyes black as the night outside. And she was smiling wider. I slammed the brakes. The tires screeched. The car jerked to a stop. My hands trembled as I turned around. The back seat was empty. She was gone. But the car doors were still locked. The whisper in the dark. My breathing was ragged. I wiped my sweaty hands on my shirt. Had I imagined it? Maybe I was too tired. Maybe I was seeing things. Then I heard it. A soft, whispering breath. Right behind my ear. "Keep driving." A cold hand touched my shoulder. I screamed, shoving the door open, falling out of the car. I scrambled to my feet, panting. The road was empty, silent. I turned back to the car, my body trembling. The engine was still running. The back seat was still empty. But then, tap. A slow, rhythmic tapping on the window. I didn't want to look. But I had to. I stepped closer. There, in the back seat window, a pale, bony finger tapped against the glass. My stomach twisted. Then I saw the words. Written on the fogged-up glass. "Home. She knows where I live." I abandoned the car. I ran. I ran until my legs burned, until my lungs ached. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment. I locked the door. I checked the windows. Then I sat on my bed, trying to slow my breathing. I told myself it was over. It was just a hallucination. Maybe I had fallen asleep at the wheel. But then I heard it. A whisper. Soft, near my ear. "Let me in." I froze. It was coming from outside my window. My apartment is on the 3rd floor. I turned my head slowly. The curtains fluttered, even though the window was shut. And then I saw it. A pale hand pressed against the glass. Fingers too long, skin too thin. Then her face slowly appeared, grinning. Her mouth stretched too wide, her eyes black and bottomless. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The whisper came again. "Let me in." I shut my eyes, shaking my head. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." Silence. I opened my eyes. She was gone. She's still here. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Or the next. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it. The whisper. Let me in. The tapping on the glass. The cold breath on my neck. I quit my taxi job. I moved to another part of the city. But she followed. I wake up in the middle of the night, frozen in fear. She stands in the corner of my room, watching. She never moves. She just smiles. I leave the lights on. I don't sleep. Because I know, the moment I do, she will be closer. Final words. If you ever drive late at night and you see a woman in white, standing alone by the road, do not stop. Keep driving. And pray she doesn't follow you home.